Motion pictures, can't get enough. Cinephile, movie lover, and a big movie buff. Talking to actors, directors, innovators, athletes to writers, real trailblazers. Yeah, originator, not a duplicator. So honest, always authentic. Tune in, trust me, you don't want to miss it. This is the Monday Morning Critic. Amazing life journeys, great interviews from sports analysts, even reporters too. Captivating, always top content, bringing top quality. Everybody's talking. Yeah, originator, not a duplicator. So passionate and so authentic. Tune in, trust me, you don't want to miss it. This is the Monday Morning Critic. Woo!
Hey, yo, you ready? Let's do it.
My next guest is a Texas-born actor. He has done theater. He's probably made millions of people cry with his 3 phenomenal Budweiser commercials. He's played Niel Armstrong. He's been in Transformers. He continues to act and do his thing. His name is Don Jeans. Don, how are you today, my friend?
I'm good. Thank you so much for that kind introduction.
No, it's a truthful introduction at that. And you know, Don, I have to say, you know, many people play cowboys and do their thing. You legitimately, and I know you've said this on many interviews, but you legitimately lived that life, right? That was your life growing up.
Yeah. So my grandfather was a career cattle rancher, and thus my father was a career cattle rancher. And we had 2 ranches, one in Huffman, which is about 30 minutes north of Houston, and another one in Moscow, Texas, which is about an hour and a half. And so my formative years, as they were around cattle, working horses, building fence, playing on the ranch, helping bale hay, all of that stuff. And then because my grandfather was a rancher, my dad was around that community, and he got into rodeo, and my other uncle got into rodeo. So my uncle Bob Jeans was a bull rider for a while, and then became a rodeo announcer. And my father was a bareback rider, bear bronc, sorry. And so that led me and my brother into a little bit of rodeo. I say my career probably lasted about 15 seconds, which is about 5 seconds on 3 bulls. Yeah. So it was a lot of fun. I mean, you know, I can 2-step and jitterbug with the best of them, and I still get a chance, you know, through my work to work with horses and get on a bull every once in a while. I did a commercial for T-Mobile, and they flew us down to Mexico City, and we had a bullfighting arena sub for a rodeo arena, and I got to do my lines on the back of a bull there in the shoot. It was pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely have that look, man. You're a handsome dude, and I say that, you know, as a huge compliment. You can obviously act. I got to tell you, I don't know how anybody can, in good faith, bull ride, because that would scare. I mean, I don't think I could get within 5 feet of a bull. Never mind ride one for 15 seconds.
I appreciate all that. You know, I mean, the first time it helps if you're around them. My dad, we actually had a bull named Thomas when I was growing up. We raised Brahman cattle, and this bull Thomas was so gentle. My dad would put me and my brother on the back of the bull and walk the bull around. And so, you know, it helps when you kind of grow up around them. But I have to say, when I knew I was getting on and this 1,000-pound, 2,000-pound animal was rigged to buck, it was quite scary the first time. You know, it gets a little bit easier, but actually the reason why we quit is my brother at one of the rodeos, he got bucked off and broke his collarbone. Okay. And I remember he was in the back of the ambulance, and the guy said, "Okay, I'm going to pop it back in on 3. Are you ready?" He said, "Yeah." He goes, 1, 2, popped it back in. And my brother let out this yell. And I was about 15 at the time, and he was the one driving. I was like, "Man, why don't we just take a break? Let's take a break, man. Let's take a break."
They say that's like one of the most painful injuries you can undergo is anything with the collarbone. It's very painful, they say.
Yeah. He looked like he was in a bit of pain, and so I got scared straight at that point.
So when you're around animals, you know, like that, do you become immune to them? Do you develop so like I have 2 Australian Shepherds. You know, I love them like I love family members, right? I don't know if that makes me a weirdo, but do animals just become, you know, livestock to you, or growing up like that, do you get close to some of those animals?
Yeah, I guess that's it. I work with dogs a lot, horses a lot, and I guess that's it. You just get an ease around them because you know that they're not out to hurt you. They've got two things on their mind, and most of it's food. So that's it. I mean, you just being them around and they got ease. The only animal I fear, I don't think I'd get in a cage with a big cat, and I also will not go near a cow with a calf.
Right.
Because those are the worst. They used to. My dad used to rope them and had to pull them up in the back of the truck because you got to tag their ears and you got to write the number on them so you can keep track of them. And those mothers would back up and just ram the side of the truck and keep ramming the side of the truck and trying to jump up in the bed with you. That was crazy.
Yeah. And so I have to ask, because you seem like a guy whose career was driven by his love of movies. Is there a horse movie or two that, whether it's a horse racing movie or a movie about ranching, that really kind of moves you, that whether it's like The Horse Whisperer or like Seabiscuit, is there anything that really that really drives you?
Well, I will say that The Lone Ranger, used to love that TV show growing up. And also one of my dad's favorite was Lonesome Dove. And I think I've seen that about 3 or 4 times, and it's a long movie. But you just kind of, fall in love with the ideal of that way of life. So those were some formative. The other big ones that really made me want to be an actor is kind of weird was Out of Africa and My Girl with Macaulay Culkin. Because
Tear jerkers, yeah.
Oh, I was moved. Like for 2 weeks, I was depressed after watching that movie. And somewhere in my small child mind, I went, "Oh my gosh, these are actors," and they made me like for 2 weeks. I was like, "That's amazing to elicit such emotion and to change someone's perception of the world so much." I was like, "I want to do that. I want to do that."
Yeah.
Also, Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Oh, you just see, you see Tom Cruise in Top Gun, and you see Stallone and Rambo, and you're like, I want to be a fighter pilot. Oh no, I want to be a G.I. Joe. And then it's also you just start to go, oh, these people are actors, but they get to live these great lives, and I guess that's what acting is. If you can't choose exactly anything, you get to be everything for a little while, and it's really cool.
No, that's well said, man. And those are two great movies. My Girl, I don't think I'm over that. I still think I'm not over the ending of that movie.
Yeah, right. Horrible.
Yeah. So yeah, man. So I love that. Like you come from a place where it's like you're driven by movies, because I don't hear that answer often. I expect to hear more than I do, and I don't. And I'm like, I don't get it. Like, to me, when I started a podcast based on my love of movies, based on my love of people who can move me. And, it's nice to hear you say that, oh, it's My Girl. It's, Out of Africa, fantastic movie. Like, it's refreshing to hear an actor say that.
Thanks, man. Yeah. Well, I think if you act long enough, you're going to struggle with the thought that you're an extreme narcissist. And I had that point in my career early on, and I talked to a good friend of mine, who I'd done a play with in New York, and she said, no. Here's what it is it's it's actual work to create a story. It is. And for a brief moment, you get to give these people relief from reality. And that's why we do it. And to go further in my own explanation of it is if I can shift someone's perception, even just slightly, to hope or happiness or a better way of life, to show them that there might there's, because it's hard to do that, to shift someone's perception of the world, and sometimes it takes a really good story. And so that's what I try to focus on to make myself feel better about making sure I'm in front of the camera all day.
well, damn you, because you did it to me at the Super Bowl 3 different times in front of a group of dudes, and how dare you? Oh my God! Like, I had to we'll get to this, but I had to legitimately walk out of the room. Like, I was sobbing like a grown ass man, Don, sobbing. I'm like, are you kidding me? But it's like, well, I want to get to that in a second. But I have to say, so I've seen some of your other interviews, right? I get the feeling that you like theater and you enjoy doing it, but I get the feeling, and if I'm misspeaking for you here, please let me know. Your real passion is being in front of the camera, doing, movie, TV, commercial. Am I off with that? Is that kind of?
No, that is my focus now. Yeah, I did a lot of theater. I had a scholarship to a junior college here in Houston called Kingwood College when I was younger. And then I went to New York, and for 2 years I was doing off, so far off, it's almost in New Jersey, off Broadway. And then I did a few plays in Los Angeles, but I think I kind of subconsciously decided that my last play, The Glass Menagerie, in 2015 was going to be my last play for a very long time. I love doing commercials because of that fact that, I get to be a different person every week. I get to play, try a new field, or, and it's very challenging and rewarding. So yeah, I would like to focus more on, TV and movies and commercials. I love the movies and TV when I can get them, but for now the commercials are my bread and butter.
Yeah, and I know, and if I'm correct, I'll be really embarrassed. I know your dad has passed, but did he get a chance to see like some of what you were doing and some of the momentum you were building over the years as an actor?
Oh man, no. He passed away in 2005, and that's when I was in New York. He did call me one day, and he was like, "I can't believe my son's living in New York City." That's as much as he's seen.
Yeah, and is your grandfather still with us?
No, unfortunately, my grandfather passed away last year. He was 94, had a great long life, did exactly what he wanted to do for over 50 years on his ranch.
Wow.
And, celebrate his life. He had a good one.
And he had to be really proud of everything, whether it was, the ranching part of your life or watching his grandson evolve into the man you've become and the actor you've become. He had to be proud of that.
There was a time where I went back to see him, and he said, he said those words. He said, "I'm so proud of you, the way you just stopped that horse," because in his mind it was almost kind of real,
right? Right?
Yeah, it was all kind of real, and he thought that was pretty cool. That was neat.
Oh man, that's awesome. And how about so you've I know why we've gone down this road. I understand that. Is there an aspect that so who has? How do you learn all this? So I know that like the animals part helps you. I know you're a good dancer. I've read. How does the acting come apart? Like how does that evolve with you? And is there a mentor, Don?
Well, I started out, just as an elective, and then it kind of just progressed. But I would call myself a method actor at this point. If you're asking kind of about technique, I took and I've taken it's kind of like a mix of improv. I've taken a lot of improv, but as far as the acting technique goes, I studied with a wonderful woman named Sarah Simmons, and it was there was no one in the class. It was about 3 or 4 people, and she would sit us down every day, and she would give us a scene. She'd say, "Go outside. You got 10 minutes. I want you to come back. I want you to have an objective, like what do you want from this other person in the scene? And I want you to have a replacement from your real life. So imagine someone in your real life you really want that for." And we would do 3 or 4 of those in each class. We would just cycle them in and out. And then, I've read all of Stanislavski's books, so that's in there, and because of that, I decided to go to Ivana Chubbuck in Los Angeles, and I studied under an awesome teacher, not Ivana Chubbuck. Oh, his name, it escapes me at the moment, but he was great. And what she did was she broke down method acting into a roadmap. She gives you 12 steps to prepare. And a lot of the times, if I have a really big project, I'll just read some of the book to review. But that's basically it. Is I find an objective, I find an obstacle to overcome. Not playing the obstacle, try to go with the objective, and then I try different people in my life that those objectives make sense with. That I desperately. The idea is, in your life, what do you desperately want from this person, because everything is about getting the other person to do something for you. You can't It can't just be play this, because there's no reason to be in the room. One of my favorite things relating to this is the opposite of love isn't hate, which most people think is like, if I hate this person, no, that's not it, because you're still thinking about, you still need something from that person. The opposite of love is apathy. Right. And if you're apathetic towards someone, you're not going to interact with them at all. So there's no reason. So you need to either it be to get my power back, to get you to love me, to get you to give me a job. This person has to do something for you. And that's what I take out of everything. Now, the commercials, not so much. I'm more improv, and most people might not know this, is that most of the auditions now for commercials, you're just improvising in the room all day. Wow. You just go and you improv. And I studied with the Upright Citizens Brigade in New York and in Los Angeles, and took a little bit of the Groundlings, but I found their technique way too rigid. So I really love the Upright Citizens Brigade. And that's what I use is the principles of improv is yes-anding. And then for commercials, it's just, I taught a class for just a second, but the main thing is keep it playful and it's smiling, because sad people don't sell things. You have to be happy. So that's kind of an overview of what I do. I mean, if that was the question, I hope I answered that.
No, you definitely did. And so like football players or any athletes, they analyze game film of other athletes. If I'm a football player, I'm watching my opponent's tape against another team if they're my opponent next week. Yeah. So do you, as an actor, are you always up? Are you up to date on the most current movies that have been released? Are you always kind of trying to get to the theaters or watch, whatever? Are you trying to, do you keep up like that? And do you learn in that regard?
Oh man, I'm a big fan of film and TV. I have to say I Netflix, Hulu, and Amazon most of what I watch, unless it's a really big action film and I feel like it needs a theater. I think almost it's nice sometimes to be at home and see those movies where you're less distracted than going out and with other people. But yeah, I love to watch films. I thought Bohemian Rhapsody was amazing. And especially also the one that sticks out in my mind is Dallas Buyers Club. He was electric. He was intimidating as an actor in that. Yep. And that's something I kind of aspire to. Yeah.
Matthew McConaughey, Jared Leto were so good in Dallas Buyers.
So good.
Yeah, scary good. Yeah. Well said. Yeah. So I always thought your career was, you first were in the commercials and then you had the opportunity with, Michael Bay, but I had it in reverse. You were Niel Armstrong first, and then the Budweiser opportunity presented itself, right?
Yeah. Wow. That's very true.
So are you talk about that? Are you blown away with the opportunity to work with Michael Bay? And not only that, you're playing Niel Armstrong, which is kind of cool. Like what? That's kind of a great situation to be in.
That whole experience was like a dream to me now. Like it's hazy. I can't believe that it happened to me. I wouldn't say so quickly into my career, because at that point I had been acting professionally since 2004. Wow. But I booked it in 2009. So that's kind of 5 years, but still that's pretty quick to get into a blockbuster like that. And I remember sitting and watching number 2. I was there in the movie theater with my now ex-girlfriend and just thinking to myself, how amazing would it be to be in something so cool? And then it was about a year later, I get a thing from my agent, and she says, "Oh, you got this role, Untitled Project." They wouldn't tell you what it was. It was like you go in, and there was hardly any lines. Like there was a few lines, and I walked into this studio. It's not even one of the big ones. It's an independent studio in Hollywood. And she says, "Okay, you see a big alien on the floor, and then you look up and you say, these things are massive." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And I did it. And she goes, "That's good, but Mike wouldn't like that." And I'm like, who is Mike? What is she talking about? And so I do it again. And I'm like, I blew that one. I'm looking as much like Niel Armstrong as I can, because I knew that was a character, but it was like, what is this for? So I get the call and I booked it. And I couldn't believe it. I get Transformers. Oh my God. And so still I was expecting to get a script. I was like, I'm going to get a script. Of course I'm going to get a script. But the days come when we get no script, and I'm doing everything I can to prepare. They're like, "Oh, the suit's really hot," and so I'm, working out and like going to the Space Museum and reading all about Niel Armstrong, watching every video I can get, trying to get his voice down. And finally we get to set. I'm like, okay, this is crazy. This is awesome. And they had stunt guys for us doing the bounce part. And I was like, that's pretty neat. And what the most amazing thing is, I drove my motorcycle to set, and it was in Marina Del Rey. the largest wooden indoor structure in the world at that point, from what I was told. And it was because Howard Hughes had built his gigantic airplane that was going to fly the 6-wing propeller to get off the ground. That's where he built that to build that plane. And when you go inside, and they had nearly the entire moonscape built inside of this structure. It was amazing, up to, I guess, the thrusters. So what's above the thrusters was CGI. Below the thrusters was all real.
Wow.
Nuts. And so we put these headphones on, and we go in, and Michael Bay's there. And it's, oh my gosh, we're going to get, I thought, we'd get a Splinter Cell, like, they had like Team 2 or B Team for some of the things, but it was Michael Bay. And the first time he says, he's like, okay, guys, you're going to make your entrance through the door. And so we go, he's like, guys, you're weightless. Like, pretend to be weightless, and you're moving too slow. Go through the door. And we do it again. He's like, that's good. I like the weightless. Look where you're looking. He goes, the second time he comes up, he says, guys, you got to go faster. And we're like, oh, okay, all right. So we do it again. And then finally he comes up and he says, guys, get through the door. It was like, okay. And I didn't figure it was like mean, but the guy's spending a lot of money. He's, just very stern. Like, okay, all right, you got it. And then he starts giving us lines while we're filming.
Wow.
He's like, say this. And I'm like, oh my gosh, did Michael Bay just give me a line to say? And so I say it, and then finally he goes, he says, okay, say these things are massive as you look up. And he's like, okay, that's good. He's like, that's pretty good, man. He said, I tell you what, say it one more time. If it makes the trailer, I'll give you $100. And I'm sitting there on set in this costume, on this incredible movie set, and Michael Bay is making bets with me about my lines. It was nuts and awesome. And I did it, and it didn't win, and I would not have asked him for $100 if it made the trailer. But it made it in the movie, and that was even better. So it was pretty cool.
Wow. But yeah, you know what? Yeah. You are a big part, if I remember right, you are a big part of that trailer, even though there's no speaking parts. Isn't the trailer just pretty much you?
The trailer was a lot of the astronauts. I mean, there was, of course, just the moon, but we did. Corey Tucker played Buzz in that one. We're still friends to this day, and yeah, him and I did have a good amount, yeah. And then they flew us to Michigan to film the parade scene, which was even better, but not as hands-on with Mr. Bay.
So I mean, when you see yourself for the first, I mean, that's a huge role. When you see yourself, I don't know if you go to the premiere or do you go to a theater. How do you eventually see yourself on the big screen?
We got to go to the Paramount cast and crew viewing. I think that's what it was called at the time. It wasn't, we didn't get to go to the huge premiere with all the big stars. And a lot of people ask me, how was Shia? How was the other girl? How was Rosie? And honestly, we didn't get to meet them because we were acting on the moon, so they weren't in those scenes, and you usually don't get to interact much with people who aren't in your scenes.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, that's an amazing way. And then in 13, 14, and 15, you make what would essentially are the three best Super Bowl commercials in history. And I know you've talked about this 1,000 times. Just kind of briefly talk about how that unfolded for you and what that experience was like.
Sure, and I appreciate you saying that, man. I feel very lucky that I got to be a part of those commercials. Jake Scott and the RSA crew are phenomenal. So when I first got it, it was just like another audition. My agent said, "Hey, you got an audition in Santa Monica. Get on down there, wear your cowboy outfit, and you're going to be acting against some horse or something." I'm like, oh, okay, all right. So I get down there, and in the room, she's like, all right, pretend that the horse is running to you in the room. And so to kick it back to my method acting is basically my dad had this horse named Doc, and we loved that horse. That was the best horse ever. And so I thought, what if this happened? What if that horse actually was running to me in the street? I found it alive, and it came to me. And so that was my face. That was my reaction. And then I got a call back. It was like, okay, cool. They're like, your callback is on a ranch in Thousand Oaks, California. What? At a ranch? We're actually going to be walking around horses. Okay. And so there's this guy. I didn't know who he was at the time, but this guy with this funny English accent. He goes, okay, just take the horse, and then you're going to walk up, and then you're going to turn around, and you're going to walk back. And I guess, and that was Jake Scott.
Wow.
So I guess I I guess I was the only guy who stayed on the left side because we were always taught stay on the left side. That's where you mount. That's where you get off. Try to approach the horse from the front. Don't approach from the back. Yada yada yada. And then I did, and then that's the improv. Is you got to be a little spontaneous. And I knew it said it hugged it, so I gave the muzzle a big hug and all that stuff. I don't know if any other guys did that, but that's how I got the commercial. And then I was told that I got it. And I was like, okay, great. At that time, I would come home 3 or 4 times a year. I live in Houston now, but I was living in Los Angeles full time. And so it was Christmas was happening. And I was like, I didn't get it because I was like, okay. I was like, ask my agent, what's going on? They're like, we don't know. So finally I go home for Christmas. And then when I come back, they're like, we need you back pretty soon. We're going to shoot this thing. And they were editing that like in the hotel room as we had finished the last day. We filmed 3 days in Thousand Oaks, and then we actually had to fly to the Budweiser Warm Springs Ranch because the foal was only 7 days old and it was too young to travel.
Wow.
So we went there to film that part. Yeah. And then the rest was, with the dogs. The one thing I'll say about the puppies, they were awesome. And the dog trainer is amazing. But we weren't allowed to touch the puppies on set because they're so young and puppies are so hard to train that if they have anybody petting them, they're going to forget what they were supposed to do. And so it was like having a plate of warm cookies passed around a party. You're not allowed to eat them. You want to grab those puppies. But there was 6, 7 to 8 of them on both of those commercials, and they just have one that was better at, one was better at running, one was better at jumping, one was better at climbing under a fence, one was better at licking you in the face. And so they'd switch them out. Also, they're puppies and their attention span's pretty short. But it was a dream, man. The response that I've gotten, I'm really happy I got to be sometimes I'm like, I'm a glorified moving prop in those, but it was a lot of fun, man.
No, man. Yeah. And I wonder because, it's like the ultimate audition, right? Because you got millions of people watching you and it seems like it's opened some doors for you. What was it like that? So there was 3 of them. The very first one is when the horse that you've been talking about, the horse sees you in the parade.
Yeah.
What was it like that maybe next day? I mean, you had to be, I think you were more of a focus than the game was.
I don't know. Well, so here's what happened is they put it up online and it got all these views. I was like, wow, this is getting a lot of views on YouTube. That's crazy. And then I was like, the game started happening and they hadn't ran it. And I was like, oh my gosh, they just used it as a YouTube commercial and it's not going to be on. And I told a few people, I was like, dude, I got a Super Bowl commercial. Like, oh my God, they're not going to show it. And all these people are going to be like, oh, I thought you had a Super Bowl commercial. And so finally, Beyonce turns the lights out. She gets the lights shut off. And I'm like, they didn't play it. And then, like, the next 2 commercials, it comes on. And what I do remember is I was with my good friend Robbie Damon. He's a voiceover artist. And we lived together my last year in Los Angeles. But we were in his then apartment at the time. And I think his girlfriend was there, and my phone just started blowing up with the Instagram. I mean, I don't know if I even had Instagram then. I was on Facebook, and it just ping, 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 and I was like, holy crap, yeah, all right. And that's kind of, it wasn't so much the next time, but it was pretty cool. Yeah, that was awesome. And it's very nice to have that. I don't have any of my commercials on my resume, except for, 2013 through 15 Budweiser Clydesdale Super Bowl commercials.
Yeah.
And the rest available on the yeah.
You're so great in those 2, but I remember, come on, you got a handsome guy who knows how to act. You sell it like it's something you've been living the whole time. You have these beautiful puppies, these beautiful horses, but all joking aside, your character's kind of a shitty animal owner. He lost his dog. He lost him. He's given away his horses. Like,
yeah. What's going on with this guy? First he can't keep the puppy out, and then the next time he loses the puppy, it's he just doesn't know what he's doing. I really tried to spread the rumor so hard that they needed a 4th one, and me and the other dog owner we're going to get married in that one. You know, that's what you do if you want to boost ratings, man. You need a baby or a wedding.
Oh, I totally agree. It would so be a home run if they decided to go that route too. Think about that.
Yeah, right?
Oh, my God. Like, so, yeah, I mean, I have to say those commercials, and they stand the test of time, man. And if you look at, like, YouTube, I mean, they're all three are in the millions. I mean, it's just – and that's – you touched on this at the beginning of the interview, right? So you don't even necessarily have to be in a blockbuster movie or a television show, right? These commercials touched a lot of people. Like, people love these commercials, right? It's not even about beer or about – it's about relationships, right? It kind of is in 1 minute, right? Isn't that what it's about?
Yeah, you know, you give people a little catharsis, emotional release, but at the same time, hey, Budweiser. And often, I mean, I actually did get a marketing degree, so it's a great way to sell things. Is you kind of you get an emotional response, and then you say, oh, by the way, this is brought to you by Budweiser. Of course, was a prominent, and they have some of the best commercials ever. So they obviously know that. I don't need to tell them that, but yeah, I'm very proud of those.
Did you hear back from Budweiser and how pleased they were with those? I mean, they had to be like, wow, like fantastic job, right? Like they have to give you some acknowledgement of that.
There was. Afterwards, you know, I didn't hear much. The RSA guys, they were kind enough to get me on another commercial straight after the Budweiser one. It was a Bacardi commercial, which we flew to Uruguay and shot, which was amazing.
Wow.
So I'll take being hired again as a compliment. But there was one time on the first one, because I didn't know it was while we were on set, I didn't know it was a Super Bowl commercial. I just thought it was a Budweiser commercial. And I clocked that there was a lot of agency and people from the actual company on set, like more than usual. You usually have one or two people from the company. You have your advertising agency people that actually work for the advertising agency, and then the production, you know, whoever they hire for production, there's going to be a lot of them. But this time there was 4 to 5 of the actual Budweiser people on set, and one of the guys came up to me after. So there's a scene where I load the horse up into the trailer, and I'm standing beside the trailer, and he walks up to me and goes, you know, this is going to be one of the best Super Bowl commercials you've ever seen. and we were getting ready. We were getting ready to shoot another shot, and I was in it. It was a little bit complicated. The wine, everybody was like, "Oh man, you can't tell me that right in between takes." Maybe at lunch.
When you see the final product, right? So we hear what he has to say. When you see the final product, do you get emotional? Are you proud of it? What's your reaction when you see the final product unfold?
Just very proud.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to get emotional when, you know, you see all the workings of everything going on. It kind of destroys your suspension of disbelief, as it was. But I am just very proud of it. The word keeps coming back. Just so grateful that I got to be a part of something so wonderful. That's my emotion. Yeah.
And for those that don't know, I mean, your career's still strong. You're doing your thing. So just talk a little bit about what's ahead for you, Don. What you're working on, some things that you've done in the meanwhile.
Yeah. So I moved back to Texas, knowing that my grandfather was ailing and we would have to take care of some business with a ranch. You know, that was just a natural thing that I had to do. So I came back and I took a little bit of a hiatus. And I got to tell you, I didn't know that the market here in Texas was so incredibly strong. Now, I live in Houston, and I travel to Dallas and Austin on a weekly basis. But they are shooting a ton of commercials in Austin and in Dallas. So I got with an agency here in Houston, Page Parks. I was just, you know, messing around online. I was like, let me click and see. And so I got a commercial, and this girl goes, you're pretty good. You should try my agency, Page Parks. I was like, okay. And then I had another one contact me through Model Mayhem for a print shoot here in downtown, Felix Sanchez Photography, who I still do voiceovers for. And he's like, and the stylist on that shoot was, we were shooting for Sierra Pacific Apparel, and Todd, he was like, I'm with Page Parks. You should probably check them out. And so I was like, well, that's two. Okay. So I sent my resume in, and it's been a whirlwind ever since. I've been able to average since 17 to 18. And then this year, probably about 3 to 4 commercials a month, either print ads, commercials, or voiceovers. I do 3 to 4 a month. I have one running right now for Humira. The actual name of the commercial is Body of Proof. And I was able to do a feature film called One Hand Clapping in Austin, Texas, this last summer. And it's a family drama about this guy who is living in California, it was really weird because it's a little similar to my life. You just swap, but not the estranged part, but he was living in California. His estranged father is dying. He has to come home to repair everything. But he's at odds with his brother who's, and then there's some religious stuff like a battle, which goes into like supernatural stuff. I don't want to spoil the movie for you guys, but, it was written by Jerry Allen Deal in 1999, had it optioned 3 times, held on to his dream, came back to Texas and shot it, and took a chance on a guy. So that should come out at the end of this year. And then I just shot a campaign for Arvest Bank, which is a bank in Arkansas. And we did a wonderful, funny campaign where my character Jack goes around and tries a lot of different businesses and realizes he's not an expert, which also means that it's okay if you're not an expert at finances, because that's what Arvis is an expert at. And so that's going to be coming out soon. Yeah.
That's great, man. I mean, you're doing what many people cannot do, and that's make a living as an actor. I mean, that's the whole thing, right? And then it's kind of like a snowball downhill. You kind of get your momentum, and then that's right now for you, it seems to be working out really well. You're starting to really get back on your feet and really kind of do your thing the way you want to do it.
I gotta say, I feel very fortunate that, when you start out, you're like, I just want to be in something. Someone give me a lead role. Let me prove I can do it. And then, you're like, oh, that's nice. I want to get paid for it. Somebody give me some money. and then it's like, I just want to pay my bills. I'd love to just be a full-time working actor. And finally, I'm to that point where I get to pay my bills and act full-time. And it's a dream come true, man.
Now,
living the dream.
Is One Hand Clapping, is that like a Netflix release? Will that be a theatrical release? How does that work?
So that's we don't know. Nowadays with the independent circuit, it just kind of depends. What usually happens, excuse me, they'll send them to a lot of festivals to get the laurels, try to get some momentum, some word of mouth behind the film, and then they'll approach, a distributor, and that distributor will take it to Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, or you can actually go to those companies yourself to get it on streaming. But we should have a small theatrical release, maybe at some of the Alamo draft houses. Since it was made in Texas, we think we'll have a good turnout here in Texas. So some of the Alamo draft houses or some other local venues, just to start out with.
That's awesome. And my last question to you is a non-acting question. So yeah, I know you're big in Texas, especially Houston. How well regarded is J.J. Watt in that community?
Man, you can't touch J.J. Watt.
Yeah.
No, man. Yeah. He's a prince. He's the Prince of Houston, I think. He's on top, man. Especially what he did after the hurricane.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It just seems like on and off the football field, this guy could run. I think pretty much for the governor of the state of Texas. I mean, he can pretty much, write his own ticket. He's that highly regarded, right?
Yeah, I think he'd win. Honestly, he's very highly regarded. Yeah, he's awesome. I got a few Watt shirts. Yeah, we. Very proud of that guy.
I have to say, because I live in Massachusetts, so Bill O'Brien was a part of our program, the Patriots. But have people in Houston are they getting at wit's end with him? How is because I really thought Houston had more in them than that in that Colts game. I thought for sure they were going to win, but that lucky. I'm not a big fan of the Colts, but what's the reaction as far as when it comes to Bill O'Brien? Are Texans fans happy? Are they kind of like 2 strikes here?
Yeah, that one I don't know. So. Man, it's a long history, because we lost the Oilers and then we didn't have a team for so long, and then we finally got a team back, but. Of course, nobody expects them to be Super Bowl champs the first year out. So, it's been a long progression. We finally got a quarterback that can do something. Yep. Because I don't know if you've seen the pictures of the shirts with our quarterback's name's a mile long.
Yes.
We finally got our guy, and then he got injured. So, it's a myriad of things. You can't put it all on Bill O'Brien, but I think it's 50-50 in the public opinion about Mr. O'Brien there.
Yeah. Well, I got to tell you, Don, you're a great guy, and I'm so happy your career's working out. And I'm a big believer in karma and good things happening to good people. Man, congrats on all your success. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. His name is Don Jeans. Don, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. Many thanks, my man. It was a pleasure.